I thought my life was over. She walked away silently, leaving me alone with my failures. Then, a private jet appeared hours later. Everything I had worked for, every trust one had given, was at risk. But one woman's unwavering faith showed me the true meaning of strength. Watch till the end to see how heartbreak became the path to greatness. I watched her walk away. No words. No anger. Only the faint sound of her footsteps fading into the hallway. Our marriage was broken. I had built an empire, brick by brick, late nights, endless failures. Money, success, respect, they meant nothing if I lost her. In the silence that followed, I faced my reflection in the window. A man who had conquered the world outside, but lost the war within. Every deal I closed, every handshake, every late-night strategy meeting, it was empty without her beside me. I had betrayed her trust. I had allowed ambition to blind me to love. Then she called me weeks later. Her voice was steady, gentle, but full of the strength I had always admired. She said, "You cannot fix the world if you have broken yourself first." I began to listen. I began to change. She stood by me, not as a crutch, but as a mirror, reflecting my potential, my better self. Her sacrifices were silent. Her wisdom was patient. Together, we rebuilt not only our bond, but the company, our dreams, and the person I had forgotten how to be. I learned that true success was not in wealth, but in loyalty, love, and integrity. And just when I thought I had regained all I had lost, the unthinkable happened. And just when I thought I had regained all I had lost, the unthinkable happened. A letter arrived on my desk. No signature. No return address. Only the words, "You are not finished yet. What you have built can crumble in a single moment." Fear gripped me in a way money could never shield. I had faced bankruptcy, betrayal, endless sleepless nights, but this was different. This threatened the core of everything I had rebuilt. I looked across the room. She was there, calm, composed, as if she had already foreseen this storm. Her hand found mine, warm, grounding, reminding me of the man I could be. "Do not let them define you," she whispered. "Your strength is not in the empire, but in your heart. You will rise again." Her belief was contagious. I felt courage seep back into my veins, sharper than any business strategy, fiercer than any ambition. I returned to my office, determined, reviewing every deal, every contract, every relationship I had trusted. Hours turned into days. Failures and betrayals whispered threats, but I no longer trembled. One night, I stood alone on the terrace, city lights stretching endlessly. The wind carried her voice in memory. "You will learn the truth, but only if you do not break." A figure appeared at the edge of the runway below. A private jet. Its engines roared to life. I knew, in that moment, that everything was about to change again, but this time, I had learned to be ready. The jet waited, gleaming under the cold moonlight. I stepped closer, my shoes clicking against the tarmac. The engines hummed, a low vibration that seemed to echo my own heartbeat. I had faced ruin, betrayal, loneliness, but tonight felt different. Tonight, I felt the weight of what I had become, and what I had yet to reclaim. She emerged from the shadows. Not with drama, not with anger, but with quiet strength. Her eyes held a mix of love, disappointment, and something far more dangerous, expectation. "I never left you," she said softly. "But I needed you to find yourself first." I wanted to speak, to apologize, to explain, but words felt small compared to the storm I had lived through. Instead, I nodded. I understood that the billionaire they saw in the papers was nothing compared to the man who had survived heartbreak, failure, and betrayal, and had been shaped by her unwavering faith. We walked together toward the jet. Each step felt like shedding a lifetime of mistakes, regrets, and doubts. The wind carried the scent of fuel, night air, and a promise I could almost taste. I realized then that success was never about wealth or power. It was about trust, resilience, and the courage to let someone in, to show them your flaws, and still believe in tomorrow. As the engines roared louder, ready to carry us across continents and futures unknown, I felt a pang of doubt. What awaited us at the other end? Would the world honor the lessons I had learned, or would it test me again? She squeezed my hand, sensing my hesitation. "I will be with you," she said, her voice steady, unwavering. "And we will face it together." I took a deep breath. The jet began to move. The ground beneath us blurred. And in that moment, I understood the truth. The journey was far from over. The real test, of love, courage, and integrity, was just beginning. The jet climbed into the night sky, leaving the city lights flickering below. I watched her profile in the dim cabin light. She was calm, serene, but I could sense the storm she had endured silently by my side. Her strength had been my anchor when I had been drowning in failure and regret. Her wisdom had guided me when every choice felt like a knife against my heart. I reached for her hand. She did not pull away. Instead, she gave me a look that carried both warning and encouragement. "You must remember," she whispered, "everything you build can crumble if you forget who you are." Her words cut deeper than any enemy ever could. I thought about the betrayals, the empty promises from partners, the deals that had nearly ruined me. I remembered the nights I had cried alone, questioning whether all the sacrifices were worth it. Now, for the first time in years, I felt a strange clarity. The pain, the heartbreak, the relentless grind, it had all led me here. Not to a plane or a city, but to this truth. I could survive anything, as long as I had courage and someone who truly believed in me. The jet banked over the mountains, clouds rushing past the windows like waves of memory. Then, without warning, the cabin lights flickered. A soft alarm echoed through the jet. My heart stopped. I grabbed the controls, but she placed a hand on my arm, steadying me. "Trust yourself," she said, her voice firm yet tender. "But also trust me." The plane shook slightly, turbulence or something more. I did not know. I only knew that everything I had fought for, everything I had rebuilt, could vanish in a heartbeat. And yet, I was not afraid, not completely. Because for the first time, I had her beside me. The engines roared. The shadow of uncertainty stretched long across the cabin. And I understood this journey, the true test of love, strength, and success, was about to begin. The turbulence grew sharper, shaking the jet as if the sky itself were testing me. I gripped the armrest, my knuckles white, but her hand stayed in mine, steady, unyielding. Her calm was not a shield, it was a challenge. She dared me to find the courage I had buried under years of pride, ambition, and mistakes. Outside, lightning split the clouds, illuminating the endless darkness. I felt the weight of everything I had lost, the broken deals, the silent betrayals, the nights I had doubted my own worth. All of it pressed down on me, but I refused to crumble. She leaned close. "Every empire is fragile until it is tested," she said, voice soft yet cutting through the roar of the storm. "Do not fear failure. Fear not trying." Her words ignited a fire I thought I had forgotten. I remembered the nights I had poured myself into my dreams, refusing to surrender, refusing to accept mediocrity. I remembered why I had started, who I had been before the world and my own mistakes had chipped away at me. The jet shuddered violently. A warning light flashed, systems failing. I felt panic claw at my chest, but she did not flinch. She held my gaze, her eyes telling me everything I needed to hear. I was not alone. We could endure this. We could rise again. I took a deep breath, letting the fear burn away like smoke. I recalibrated, relying on skill, instinct, and her unwavering presence. Minutes stretched into eternity as the plane fought the storm, each second a battle. Then, just as suddenly as it had started, the turbulence eased. The clouds parted, revealing a horizon tinged with the first light of dawn. I looked at her, my heart pounding. She smiled, quiet but triumphant. "I told you," she whispered. "We are stronger than the storm." But as relief washed over me, my phone buzzed. A message from the board. A crisis I had not anticipated. Something far more dangerous than any storm awaited us. The message glowed on my phone screen. A betrayal I had never anticipated. A partner I had trusted for years had siphoned millions, jeopardizing everything we had rebuilt. My stomach twisted. My hands shook. Years of blood, sweat, and relentless nights could vanish in a single signature. She saw the tension in my eyes. Her hand tightened around mine, steadying me. "You will not fall," she said firmly. "Not now, not ever. We fight together." I swallowed the lump in my throat. Her faith was a lifeline. Her belief was stronger than my fear. I remembered the nights she had stayed awake while I labored over decisions, comforting me when I thought the world had turned its back. She had sacrificed so much silently, yet never demanded my gratitude, only my strength. I called an emergency meeting. Every word had to be precise, every move calculated. The betrayal was shocking, humiliating, yet I refused to let it define me. Failure was no longer an option. Not because of pride, but because I had something far greater at stake: trust, love, and the integrity I had promised her I would protect. Hours passed. Plans were drafted, contingency strategies deployed. The weight of the world pressed down, but her presence reminded me I was not carrying it alone. Finally, in the quiet of my office, I exhaled. Her gaze met mine, unwavering, fierce, and tender all at once. "We are ready," she said. "And they will see the strength of what we built together." I nodded, but a chilling thought crept in. Even as we prepared to strike back, there were forces at play I had not anticipated, people who would not hesitate to destroy what we loved most. And in that moment, I realized that the greatest challenge was not the storm outside. It was the darkness within the hearts of those I thought I could trust. The betrayal cut deeper than any storm I had faced. I sat in my office, the city lights flickering through the windows, like a reminder that the world was moving on, indifferent to my struggle. Every decision I had made, every trust one had extended, it had been used against me. And yet, I did not feel despair. I felt a fire, burning brighter because she was beside me. She leaned against the desk, her presence calm, unwavering. "You will not crumble," she said. "Not because the world will protect you, but because you are not alone." Her words were more than comfort. They were strategy, guidance, and courage rolled into one. I realized then that my true wealth was not in accounts or assets, it was in her faith, her wisdom, her patience, and her love. I summoned my team. Every detail of the embezzlement, every weak link, every chance for leverage, I traced it meticulously. Hours passed in a blur of calls, documents, and confrontation. The betrayal was a knife twisting in my gut, but I forced myself to focus. Every second counted. Every error I uncovered was a step toward reclaiming control. Late into the night, I looked at her. Her eyes were steady, filled with a fire I had long admired. "You will win," she whispered. "And when you do, you will know the true meaning of strength." I nodded, but deep down I knew the fight was far from over. The enemies I faced were cunning, ruthless, and patient. And somewhere, behind the polished smiles and handshakes, they were waiting to strike again. As the first light of dawn touched the skyline, a message arrived, encrypted, urgent, and chilling. It was a warning. Someone had anticipated our moves. And now, the real game had begun, one that would test not only my empire, but our bond, our resolve, and the very soul of what we had rebuilt together. The storm had passed. The city below glittered like a sea of possibilities. I stood on the terrace, feeling the cool wind on my face, her hand in mine. We had faced betrayal, heartbreak, near ruin, and relentless challenges, but we had endured. The empire we had rebuilt was stronger than ever, not because of wealth or strategy, but because of trust, love, and resilience. Every obstacle had taught me something invaluable. Strength is not in standing alone, but in letting someone walk beside you. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the choice to act despite it. And success is not measured in money, accolades, or power, but in integrity, compassion, and the bonds we nurture. She looked at me, eyes filled with pride and quiet joy. "Remember this," she said softly. "The world will test you. Life will challenge you. But the heart that does not give up, that forgives, that loves, will always prevail." I smiled, realizing that every struggle, every sleepless night, every tear shed in silence, had led us here. Not just to victory, but to wisdom. To a life filled with purpose, connection, and meaning. I took a deep breath, looking at the horizon, feeling gratitude for the pain, the love, and the lessons. And in that moment, I understood, true triumph is not the empire you build, but the person you become along the way. If this story moved you, do not forget to subscribe, share, and comment.